Hello, everybody.
Hello.
All right.
A quickie for you. It's appropriate actually because it's about being short on time and what happens when you're short on time. So we're doing a quickie because we wanted to talk about what happens when you shortcut your process.
Yeah. You might think I'm going to save all this time and I'm going to just cut to the chase. I'm going to do this, this, and this. But what actually happens is it ends up coming around and, biting you on the butt. And
yes. What is it really costing you? Honestly. Yeah. Like you might think, I'm saving some time, I'm saving some money. But what happens is when you're shortcutting to save time or your budget, there's a whole flow-on effect that happens. And we wanted to talk about that.
Absolutely. So a flow-on effect, or the adverse, which is the meat at the beginning is missed. So there's no substance, or it's mediocre because you've just completely, leapfrogged a whole section, that juicy bit. If you shortcut that bit, that's where mediocrity kicks in. And that section is really critical for informing the trajectory of the rest of the project. So if you skip that, you're potentially missing the most transformative part of your process. So it's essential not to take shortcuts at any stage of your beautiful process. And that works. When you know it works, don't cut it. Don't shortcut it.
Yeah. And you might not have really good ideas around process, and we can help you with that. We've got definitely tools and resources for you to be able to tap into the processes that we use. But whether it's design process or whether it's client management process, if you shortcut, you're going to regret it. Like I personally have regretted it every single time I've done it.
Yeah,
I have done it. I have done
Same.
it every single time. It just falls apart.
We're a bit guilty. I think most of us are guilty, especially when we're time poor, especially when we've got lots of balls in the air. It feels like it's a little bit too appealing to shortcut because we're trying to snatch back some time. But been there, done that, and regretted it every time as well.
Yeah, we'll run through some examples what shortcutting can look like, just in case you're like, am I shortcutting? I don't know if I am shortcutting. Let's see if you are shortcutting. So an example, and I've done it, is doing work without sending a quote or getting a contract signed.
Yeah, it's just getting started. Yep, can get that done. Oh, it's a quick deadline. I'll just get the work done.
Yeah, especially if it's a quick deadline. The client is a repeat client and you don't get a deposit and you shortcut your process.
Yes. So these are shortcutting project management examples. What Chris is talking about there, it's a project management shortcut that I'm definitely guilty of that, because when it's a really tight deadline, you think like, oh, well, it's actually quicker for me just to jump in and get this job done, right? Well, no, it can come back and bite you. So you have to be very careful.
Yeah. Another one is doing additional work when you haven't been paid for previous work. We've been talking about this a little bit lately because it does pop up, especially when you're put under pressure with a client.
Ongoing clients. And we love them and they're beautiful people. And the reason that they're not paying their invoices might be completely innocent and it's all fine. But if we allow them to just keep booking work in and not paying our invoices, we are really shooting ourselves in the foot with that one, because they're not going to respect the value of the work that we're doing. So before we start any project, we need to get paid for the work that we've done. We need to be paid up to date so that we can continue working for our beautiful clients.
Otherwise, you're going to become resentful of your design business. It's just going to feel awful.
And feel like you're working for free constantly, because where's the money coming in? You need that money to be coming in as validation that you're in business. So it's a business transaction, and we have to remember that. And it really, we do sort of blur the lines a little bit when we are in a really lovely relationship with our clients where we really love them. And it's like, oh, I'll just quickly do it for you. I know I shouldn't be doing it this way. It's important. Even with the clients that become really close to us and we really love them, it's really important, even more so, I think, than to have really clear boundaries around payments and make sure you don't be doing work when payments and things are not up to date. Yeah.
And things like design process, well, we all know that we can shortcut design process. So not doing concepts on paper or not actually using your brain to design. I've found in the past that if I go straight to computer, the results are mediocre. They are substandard And I eventually have to go back to my tried and true process, which is actually getting my brain to work for me and doing Ross on paper. I am old school. I love pen on paper. I don't use pencil. I use pen on beautiful paper. And
I'm the same. That's why we like each other so much.
There's magic in that.
Yeah.
You might be doing it on, on an iPad using Procreate or whatever. I always say Procreate. I know it's not Procreate, it's Procreate.
I like Procreate. That's cute.
Procreate.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's pro. It's pro.
It's like the technician comes in and designs instead of that beautiful conceptual brain that you've
absolutely.
got.
Yeah. That is one of my biggest rants, is that
Yeah.
when we go straight to a computer, we are limited by the skill set that we have for that app. That's it. If we haven't expanded beyond the limitations of our immediate skill set, well, then that is the parameters that we're designing to. Instead of allowing our beautiful conceptual imagination and creative brain to take over and take us on this really limitless potential for this concept, it is absolutely limited when we work within the confines of what skills we have for an app. And we don't want that. We want our creative solutions to be limitless. And we can only do that if we're tapping into this gorgeous mind of ours. And that's what our clients are paying us for. So shortcutting just sort of becomes a formula-based design. And we want to avoid that at all costs.
We don't like formula-based design can have its little place sometimes, but generally for beautiful brands and brand strategy and all that sort of thing, you really do need to be not taking shortcuts.
Absolutely. So let's think about some more business systems where we might shortcut things. So maybe not following up when you said you would, and it comes across as being a little bit slack, and it erodes trust with your client because they're expecting you to touch base and then you don't. So we've got to make sure that we don't get slack with that and cut corners with that.
Yeah, we want to be reliable and stable.
Yeah,
we want them to know what to expect from us.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe being slack around boundaries, like being inconsistent with boundaries. So one day saying, well, we must get paid before we commence this extra work. But then the next week when the client calls you in a screaming hot hurry and says, I need it done. And they haven't paid their invoice, and you go, oh, all right, I'll do that for you.
Okay, I'll let you get away with it.
Get away with it this time.
That's definitely a shortcut that can bite you in the bum. Yeah. And a big one for systems can be not organizing files properly. Yeah.
Now this one can come back at you.
Yeah, it really can. It's like 6 months down the track, or maybe 2 years down the track, a past client or an existing client will say, I need a reprint of that brochure. And you're like, what?
Where is it? Or you've filed it in an obscure way with an obscure name. And you're like, oh my goodness. And it takes you an hour to find it. You eventually may find it, but it's like that hour with you, what is the value of that hour with you? So shortcutting it at the time has absolutely cost you money at this end. So we're always looking at how much is this shortcut really costing you? So you've got to be really mindful of that. Take the time, that 2 minutes to file correctly, which can turn into an hour, multiple hours, or loss of a file in the future, which is even worse because it's recreating something that you cannot find. So, think about the value of that. That's thousands of dollars potentially.
Actually, not even 2 minutes when you think about it. Like just the, archiving and saving properly is so quick. And simple. I don't know why we resist it. Everybody dumping everything into the downloads folder, or just the desktop is crazy mess, but it really doesn't take much time to archive and organize and sort. And we love file sorting systems because it makes all the difference with your workflow. Yes. So then we've got all these business systems, but there's other things that we can shortcut as well in our lives. So our well-being and our mental health and our physical needs, we shortcut those all the time when we're in business. It's because we're under the pump and we can get a bit stressed, and we're putting people first and, not putting our own needs first. And so what that can look like is, shortcutting your breaks, shortcutting your exercise. You're not actually going out and getting regular daily movement happening.
Working long hours, like just not getting up, not moving from your desk. not
Yeah.
having an ergonomic chair that you're sitting on, and the desk at the right height. So you're really compromising your posture, you're shortcutting. Often when we're working from home, we set up our desk on our lounge. Is our lounge really supporting our back? Are we shortcutting?
Guilty.
Yeah, guilty as well. It might be comfy for a little while, but if you are shortcutting in a few places where you're shortcutting mind, body, and soul, you might be working long hours, and you might be working really long hours on that lounge, and then it's crippling.
Sciatica kicking in,
Yeah,
like you're getting this
yeah.
big sharp shooting pain right down your side. And it is interesting that we are sitting all the time as designers. It's an occupational hazard, and it's becoming known as like the sitting disease. It's like the new smoking. Really scary because of lethargy and not moving and not getting up and not taking those breaks and not just moving through gravity.
It's not just to do with your posture and things like that. It can have bigger, more major impact on you, and depending on your constitution and how your health is at the beginning of your beautiful business and where you start with your health, and then it could rapidly decline if you're not protecting it when you start shortcutting and working long hours and not taking breaks and not eating properly. The consequences can be quite diverse and quite broad.
I won't meditate today. I won't journal today. I'll do it tomorrow. I've got a pressing client thing. I have to check my email. I have to do this first. I'll put all that aside. And then you find that it's shortcut and you're not getting it done. And we love Alison Bird. If you haven't discovered Alison Bird, you should really check her out. I think her Instagram handle is I am Alison Bird. Anyway, we'll make sure of that and we'll put it in the show notes. She's fantastic. And she said something that really shifted my mind around it, because often we're shortcutting because of a deadline or because of like finances or whatever it is. And she has a little mantra where she had to shift it as well, because instead of going to the gym and being with her personal trainer, she wasn't honoring her body. She wasn't respecting her body or her personal trainer's time. And she would cancel and instead do that hour of work, because that hour would bring money, right? So she changed her intention, and her intention was, I make money when I work out. And you can change that to anything. I make money when I meditate. I make money when I go for a walk. My business grows when I spend time with my family.
Yeah, I like that one. My business is supported when I'm supporting my body, that type of thing. So just remembering that you can have all of these beautiful things and support your body and support your mental health while your business is flourishing. So I love that. Thank you, Alison Bird. That's amazing. Yeah.
So all that stuff, all that shortcutting can lead to some horrible symptoms, some horrible side effects, because it can be serious. You know, it's not just, you're going to do a little shortcut here and there. It won't make much difference, but it really does make a difference, because if you're not looking after yourself, you're going to have poor concentration ability, which equals poor conceptual ability, which equals bad results, loss of clients because you're unreliable, making mistakes and stuffing up.
It's the whole domino effect.
It is.
Goes boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
And then you get feelings of not enoughness. I'm not worthy.
And the worst of it, I think, is the resentment that comes, and then the inevitable end of your business. And unnecessarily, because you were just cutting corners, just here and just there, just here and there, just there. And then all of a sudden, when you least expect it, your business is now really wobbly, and the resentment that is there is just so dissatisfying. So that to me is really sad, especially for things that can be caught before we get into the habit of cutting that corner too often. So notice a habit, notice a little corner that you keep cutting. You might have a little corner that you cut on repeat. So notice that you do that and catch it and correct it and keep correcting it. Just little tiny corrections, one after the other, until you're operating this beautiful, buoyant business where you know your systems are strong, you know you haven't cut any corners, and you won't be guilty of any of these things. So won't have to worry about any of these symptoms. That's our wish for you.
What you were saying there reminds me of that plane analogy. I think it was I think it's Martha Beck who talks about it. And it's about those little directional changes, like 1 degree, 1 degree, 1 degree, and where you land is so very different with those little 1 degree course changes.
Absolutely.
So if you can just think of it like that, and those little 1 degrees can take you off course as well. So if you're shortcutting, you can really go pear-shaped, and that resentment word that you used is a really big key one. I think that's one of the biggest things that really can hurt a design business, is that built up resentment that happens over a period of time, and you just can't go on anymore.
It's not what you expected. It's not what you thought it would be. So what we say is, okay, what is it that you want it to be? What do you expect your business to be? And take it back to that. And like we were saying, just those little changes, change, little change 2, little change 3, little change 4, and you'll be back there.
Yeah. So let's not shortcut. Good luck with that.
Until next
time. If you have any questions, DM us. We're available for a little chat on the DMs for sure.
Yes. Okay. Love to hear from you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Have a beautiful day.
Bye. Bye.